By the way, I'm Cecil Vinzon, first year student, and today I will going to report about the Commonwealth of the Philippines Commission. Today, we're going to tackle about the Commonwealth of the Philippines. In 1919 to 1994, Filipinos campaigned for independence and sent 12 independence missions to America. And in 1935, the Commonwealth of the Philippines was finally established. In July 4, 1946, this was the preparatory step to the establishment of the third independence aspiration of the Filipinos. 1889 to 1901, it was realized for a brief time with established for the Philippine Republic only to be lost in a war against Americans. Defeated in a war, the peoples accepted Americans' rule, trained in the Philippines of democracy, assimilated American political culture and legacies, but as far as the party won every election because of its daring cry, immediate, complete, and absolute independence. The first Philippines Independence Mission, 1919. During the First World War, Filipinos temporarily stopped their independence campaign and supported the United States against the Germany. And after the war, resumed their independence with greater vigor. On March 17, 1919, the Philippine Legislature passed the famous Declaration of Purposes, which stated the inflexible desire of the Filipino people to be free and sovereign. In February 28, 1919, Senate President Quezon led Manila to Washington. It consisted of 40 prominent Filipinos representing the political, educational, and economic elements of the country. The Filipinos were received by Secretary of the War, Baker, President Wilson in the farewell address to Congress on December 2, 1920, recommended the granting of the Philippine independence. Unfortunately, the Republican Party then controlled Congress, so the recommendation of the outgoing Democratic President was not heeded. Other independence mission. Failure of the first independence mission did not discourage the Filipinos people. In subsequent years, other independence missions were sent across the Pacific. The second mission was sent in 1922, and the third in 1923, the fourth in 1924, and the fifth is in 1925, and the sixth in 1927, the seventh is in 1928, and the eighth was 1930, and the ninth is 1931. The 10th, one-man mission consisting of Benigno Aquino in 1932. The 11th is in 1933, and the last is 12 in November in 19.
Good morning everyone, I'm Joshua Landasan and this is my part for our presentation. Harry Howes Cutting Bills by Butler B. Harry B. Howes, and Bronson Cutting. So the Austrax mission stayed in the U.S. the longest and secured the passage of the Harry Howes Cutting Act. It would establish the Philippine Commonwealth as a transition government for 12 years before receiving independence on July 4, 1946. So, ang misyon ng Austrax ay nananatili sa atin ang pinakamatagal at sinisigurado ang pagpasa ng Harry Howes Cutting Act. Itatatag nito ang Philippine Commonwealth bilang transisyon ng pamahalaan sa loob ng 12 years bago tumanggap ng kalayaan noong July 4, 1946. So, ano nga pala ang Harry House Cutting Bills? So, Harry Cutting House Cutting Act was the first law passed setting a process and a date of the Philippines to gain independence from the United States. Pinaghiwalayan nito ang legislature of the Philippines sa dalawang kampo, ang antis at ang pros. Ano nga ba ang antis at ang pros? Ang mga pro ay pinangungunahan ni Osmeña at Rojas na sumusuporta sa akto dahil naniniwala sila na ito ang pinakamahusay na maaari nilang makuha mula sa Kongreso sa atin. Pinangungunahan ni Senate President Manuel Quezon ang antis at tinutulan ang akto dahil sa objectionable features nito. Naniniwala rin siya na ang batas ay hindi tunay na nagbibigay ng kalayaan sa Pilipinas. Bukod sa pagbibigay ng kalayaan sa Pilipinas, ang Harry House Cutting Act ay nagreserba rin ng mga base militar mula sa US at pinapasok ang mga kalakal ng Amerika sa bansa ng libre. The Philippine legislature ended up rejecting the Austrax mission's work for the following reasons. Number one, the provisions affecting the trade relations between the United States and the Philippines would seriously imperil the economic, social, and political institution of the country and might defeat the avowed purpose to secure independence for the Philippines at the end of the transition period. So, ang mga probisyong nakakaapekto sa ugnayang pangkalakal sa pagitan ng Estados Unidos at ng Pilipinas ay seryosong magsasapanganib sa mga institusyong pang-ekonomiya, panlipunan at pampolitika ng ang bansa at maaaring matalo ang pinangako ng layunin na matiyak ang kalayaan para sa Pilipinas sa pagtatapos ng panahon ng transisyon. Number 2, the immigration clause was objectionable and offensive to the Filipino people. Ang ugnay ng imigrasyon ay hindi kanais-nais at nakakasakit o nakakaepekto sa mga mamamayang Pilipino. Number 3, the power of the High Commissioner were too indefinite. Masyadong hindi tiyak ang kapangyarihan ng mataas na commissioner. Number 4, the military, naval, and other reservations provided for in the act were inconsistent with true independence, violated dignity, and were subject to misunderstanding. Ang militar, hukbong dagat, at iba pang reserbasyon ng itinakda sa akto ay hindi naaayon sa tunay na kalayaan, marahas na dignidad at napapailalim sa hindi pagkakaunawaan. The following years, Quezon left Manila of the 11th mission. Ang homebound Austrax mission ay nakilala ang Quezon mission sa Paris. Nabigo ang dalawang misyon ng magkaunawaan. Sa pilit na relasyon, sabay silang bumalik sa Manila. Nilampasan nito ang tanyag na Osmeña-Quezon Fight noong 1921. Niluwa sa unang pagkakataon ang mga nasyonalista sa dalawang magkatunggaling paksyon, Unipersonalities Osmeña Wing at ang Collectivitas Quezon Wing noong Oktubre 17, 1933. Tinanggihan ng Quezon Control Philippine Legislature. Nang sumunod na buwan, si Quezon mismo ang namuno sa ika-12 misyon sa Washington para makakuha ng mas mabuting pagsasarili. The Triumph of the Antis. April 13, 1934, Senate President Quezon proudly returned to Manila with a copy of the Tiding McDuffie Law. May 1, the Philippine Legislature accepted the law. This did not end controversy between the antis and pros, for the latter insisted the Tidings McDuffie law was same as the Harris House cutting law. Hindi nito natapos ang kontrobersyal sa pagitan ng mga anti at pro dahil iginiit ng sulat na ang batas ng Tidings McDuffie ay kapareho ng batas ng Harris House cutting. Hunyo 5, 1934. Ang issue ay iniharap sa mga tao sa pangkalahatang halalan. Ang pros down sa pagkatalo si Quezon sa kaniyang mga tauhan ay umakyat sa kapangyarihan sa pamamagitan ng popular na boto. Si Osmeña at Rojas ay muling nahalal sa legislatura, ngunit nawalan sila ng kani-kanilang posisyon bilang President pro tempore of Senate at Speaker ng House. The House of the Speaker of the House. Thank you. That's all my part of this report, and once again, I'm Joshua Landasan. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Crizel Taryao, and I am the last reporter of our group. So my topic is Calling of the Constitutional Convention. Day Tidings McDuffie Law authorized the Philippines legislature to call Constitutional Convention to draft the Constitution of the Philippines. In May 5, 1934, the Philippines legislature passed an act seating the election of 202 delegates to the convention. Governor General Frank Murphy designated July 10 as the date of delegates to the convention. So, the first act we will be talking about for G5 is the Tidings McDuffie Act. So this act is actually named after Senators Tiding and Representative McDuffie. However, this act, also known as the Philippine Commonwealth and Independence Act. This act is signed on March 24, 1934 by the U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and under this act, the Philippines would eventually gain their independence from the United States. However, they would have to go under a 10 years transitory period where they be under Commonwealth government. In the Philippines side, their president was Manuel Quezon. Under him and other Filipino representatives, they were able to handle the issues that were happening in their own country. The delegates of the convention. Of the 200 delegates, the majority were lawyers, including many who had been judge, legislator, and cabinet men. Convention. At 10:30 a.m. in the morning of July 30, 1934, the convention met inaugural session at Hall of the House of Representatives Legislative Building, Manila. The Batanes delegates were delayed in coming to Manila because of difficulty of transportation. A vast crowd jamming the session hall to witness the opening ceremonies. So, noong taong July 30, 1934, opisyal na binuksan ni Senator President ang convention at pagkatapos nagbigay ang Pangulo ng maikling talumpati. at inutos niya ang tawag sa listahan ng mga delegado sa lahat na si Jose P. Laurel ang delegado mula sa Batangas ang pansamantalang napili bilang chairman. Pagkatapos pangunahan ni Jose P. Laurel ang halal na opisyal na si Carlo M. Ito ang siyang nangunguna sa halal pagkatapos ni Laurel. Organization of Convention. The convention was too unwieldy a body to draft a constitution. It was therefore divided into two committees. There were 7 standing committees on the organization and the function of the convention and 40 committees of the constitution. The largest and the most powerful of these committees was sponsorship committee of 87 members, with delegate Philemon Soto as chairman. So, the organization can vary between parties and jurisdictions, but these general steps capture the essence of how convention elections are typically conducted. Convention elections are organized by political parties to elect their candidates for various officers. Drafting the Constitution. Working for sometimes over the numerous proposals received from the different committee, sponsorship committee found out that it could not work fast enough owing to its large membership. Accordingly, on October 8, 1934, it created a subcommittee of 7 to draft the Constitution. This body was composed of Philemon Soto, Chairman, Manuel A. Rojas, Noberto Romualdez, and so forth. They called the 7 wise men by the press. So, drafting a constitution involves the process of creating a fundamental document that outline the structures, powers, and function of a government and typically includes provision on individual rights and the relationship between the government and its citizens.